Friends, we are very happy to inform you that e-modules are prepared for B.Ed program at Telangana by the School of Education, Osmania University under Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme MHRD New Delhi. It's indeed our pleasure to share with the teacher educators and the prospective teachers and get maximum benefit out of it. It's a first of its attempt by us. We continue to add many more such lessons to share with you all.
Good morning everybody. My name is Dr. Srivalli. Today we'll be discussing about inductive and deductive methods of teaching mathematics. Before I begin this method, I just want to tell you a small story. There are two children named Ankita and Rishabh. Ankita is around 5 years old. She sees through her window. Every day she observes that the sun is rising from the left side of her window. Every day she is watching and she comes to a conclusion that the sun is rising from the left side of her window and goes and asks her mother as to why is it rising always from the window side, not from the other side. And the mother tells her that the sun rises in the east. So she comes to the conclusion that after several observations that she has done over a period of time for a few days, she understands that her window is facing towards east and the sun rises from the east. This is what we call as induction. Similarly, the other child is being told by their mother that the sun rises in the east. So the child goes and checks whether is it really rising in the east or west or north or south. And every day over the period of time through the observation, the child will be able to understand that what the mother has told is a truth, that the sun rises in the east, and her observation also makes her understand that the sun rises in the east. So in the first instance, we have learned that the child is seeing the observations and asking the mother. So this process is induction. In the second process, the mother herself tells the child that the sun rises in the east, and the child sees through those things and understand that whatever the mother has told is true by her observations. So the first case is induction and the second case is deduction. Now let's proceed to the method. The objectives of this method. How exactly we are going to use this inductive and deductive method in teaching of mathematics we will be learning now. After this presentation, you will be able to use inductive method for teaching and learning of mathematics. Similarly, we will also be using deductive method for teaching and learning of mathematics. Now let's proceed with what exactly is inductive method. Inductive method is an approach. It is advocated by Pestalozzi and Francis Bacon. Inductive method is based on the principle of induction. Induction means to establish a universal truth by showing that if it is true for a particular case and if it is further true for a reasonably adequate number of cases, then it is true for all such cases. Thus, in this method, at the first stage, a problem is solved on the basis of previous knowledge, thinking, reasoning, and insight of the learner. At this stage, the learner does not know about any formula, principle, or a method for solving the given problem. With an adequate number of similar examples, facts, or objects, when they are presented to the learner, they try themselves to arrive at a conclusion. So this is all about induction. Thus, they arrive at a generalization or derive a formula through a convincing process of reasoning and solving of various similar problems. In this method, rules and formulas are not supplied by the teacher to the students. Here only various facts and examples are presented to the learner, and by using them, rules need to be established to arrive at a general formula. Therefore, it is a method of constructing a formula with the help of adequate number of concrete examples. Thus, inductive method of teaching leads us from known to unknown, particular to general, or examples to a general rule, or from concrete to abstract. When a number of concrete cases have been understood, the learner will be able to attempt for generalization. Now we'll see what exactly is a methodology that is involved in inductive method. Here are the steps that are involved in inductive method. We have seen program of CID on Sony TV where they are presented with several examples and the CID goes and find out how exactly the case is being solved. Now similarly, when it comes to Sherlock Holmes is provided with several clues in the process of detection. We all know that Sherlock Holmes is being written by the British author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now let's see the methodology for inductive method. Here are the steps in inductive method. The first one is presentation of examples, then observation, generalization and verification. Now let's move on to what is the first step. At this step, a sufficient number of similar examples of a particular type are presented to the learners. Now when we say that Sinu is a right-handed, Rajita is right-handed, then we also say that Sankhya is right-handed. So by taking the previous examples, we come to a conclusion about the last one saying that Sankhya is right-handed. Now second one, observation. The learner observes the various presented examples minutely and tries to see the relationship among them and seek some general or common elements of the findings. The third step is generalization. On the basis of common elements of findings from the different examples which are in similar manner, learner arrives at a general conclusion which leads towards establishing a general rule or a formula. And finally, after all these three steps, what the learner does is they go on and verify whether it is exactly correct of whatever they have assumed. At the last step of this method, the learner himself can verify the truthfulness of a general formula or a rule by using it to solve the other similar problems. Now let's see some examples. There are different patterns that are being given here: 8, 13, 20, then a blank followed by 40. Okay. Now what is the difference that we find here between these patterns? The difference between both of them in the initial case is 5. Then second is between the next two numbers 13 and 20, it is 7, and the next number will be definitely 9 and followed by plus 11. So among the numbers when we are observing, the difference is 5, 7, 9, 11. So it is incrementing by 2. So the next succeeding number is always being incremented by 2 in the first pattern. Let's see the second example. Dash, 10, 7, 14, 11, 22, 19, dash. So what can we find out from this? We can, when you observe clearly, after being given the examples, you are doing an observation. When you are observing, you will be able to make out that these are alternatively prime numbers, and the second number, the second digit that is followed by the first prime number is double of the prime number. So the first one will be 5, 10, then the next prime number is 7, the double of that number is 14. After that, 9 is not a prime number, so it is 11, double of 11 is 22, then 19 is a prime number, so the double of it is 38. So this pattern follows. The 4 steps that were being used are presentation of examples, observation, generalization and verification. So these are the 4 steps that we have used in the process of induction. Now that we have seen inductive method of teaching mathematics, now we'll go and proceed towards deductive method. Logical deduction was invented by Aristotle and perhaps lies at the heart of all his famous achievements. He was the first person to come up with an authentic and logical procedure to conclude a statement based on proportions that were at hand. For instance, Socrates is a man, all men are mortal. These two premises can be concluded as Socrates is mortal. Deduction is a process by which a particular fact is derived from some general known truth. Thus, in deductive method of teaching, the learner proceeds from general to a particular case, from abstract to concrete, and by formula to example. So once you know the formula, their applications when you start doing it is deduction. Here a pre-established rule or formula is given to the learners and they are asked to solve the related problems by using that given formula. Therefore, in this method, the learner has to perform only calculation or to simply substitute the values in the given formula to get the solution to the problem. In deduction, in a formula, you are trying to substitute the values and you are coming to a solution. Whereas in induction, you are observing several examples and deriving a formula. In deduction, a formula is already given to you. You are just substituting the values, different values, and you are coming to a solution. So, according to Joseph London, deductive teaching secures first the learning of definition or law or rule, then carefully explain its meaning, and lastly illustrate it fully by applying to the fact. Now we will see the methodology of deductive method. What are the steps involved? The steps involved in this process are presentation of rule or formula for the problems or topic to be taught. Then application of the formula, the second step. Drawing the inference will be the third step, and the fourth step will be the verification. Coming to the first step, presentation of rule or formula for the problem or the topic to be taught. Just after presenting the problem to be studied, the teacher provides some relevant formula or rule to solve it. The teacher explains the formula and its use, and the students should be able to apply the given formula that is being given by the teacher. Teacher solves few problems on the blackboard to explain the application of the formula to the problems. Thus the learner learns how to use the formula and how it can be applied in similar situations to solve the problems. Then a few more problems are given to the learner. They apply the formula to the problems and solve them according to the procedure that is being explained by the teacher. After doing certain number of problems, they come and they will be able to draw some inferences. The third stage, after getting proper solution to the problems with the help of the given formula, the learners come to an understanding that this formula is a key to solve similar types of problems. After drawing the inferences, they should be able to verify whether it is true in all the cases. On reaching to the conclusion, the learner needs to verify the conclusion or the inference. The learner applies the formula to solve other problems and thus rechecks and re-verifies the validity of conclusion. Now we will see an example of inductive method as well as deductive method. Now first we will see an example of inductive method. Here we will take an activity where we are taking three different triangles, ABC, XYZ and PQR. Now what are we doing? We are trying to extend one side of a triangle and we are trying to produce it. So what is happening? An exterior angle is getting formed. Now the activity that is being given to the students is, students may be asked to measure the sum of all the interior angles which are there in the triangle and the value of the exterior angle. The students conclude that if one side of the triangle is produced, then the exterior angle formed is equal to the sum of two interior opposite angles. Now we will see an example of deductive method. Based on the formula, the children are being given a problem to find the area of a triangle whose sides are 105 centimeters, 36 centimeters and 111 centimeters. So what is Heron's formula? Area is equal to square root of S into S minus A, S minus B, S minus C, where A plus B plus C by 2 is equal to S. So now we have been given the values of 105 centimeters as A, B is given as 36 centimeters and C is given as 111 centimeters. So first we need to find out the sum. So how are we finding the S value? We are finding A plus B plus C by 2 by substituting the values of 105 centimeters, 36 centimeters and 111 centimeters. We are coming to a conclusion that on simplification we get that S is equal to 126 centimeters. Now we are applying this value into the Heron's formula, that is area of the triangle, which is square root of S into S minus A, S minus B into S minus C. On substituting the values and simplification of these values, we come to a conclusion that 1890 square centimeters is the area of the given triangle. Similarly, different values are being given for different sides and the formula is being applied, and children try to understand that this is a formula and these are the applications where it can be used. Now let's see one more example of deductive method. The problem given here is to find the curved surface area of a right circular cylinder. If the base has a radius of 7 centimeters and its height is 10 centimeters, then we need to find the curved surface area of the right circular cylinder. Now what is given the moment when a problem is given? What do we see? What is being given in the problem? So we have got that radius is 7 centimeters and the height is given as 10 centimeters. Now what is the formula that needs to be used for curved surface area of a cylinder? It is 2 pi r h. So we will try to substitute these values of radius and height into the formula, the curved surface area of the cylinder, which is 2 into pi value we know as 22 by 7 into what is the radius, it is 7 centimeters, into height is given as 10 centimeters. So when we substitute these values, we get 440 square centimeters as the curved surface area of the cylinder. Therefore, we write the curved surface area of the cylinder is equal to 440 square centimeters. Now we have understood where exactly we are using inductive method. Similarly, we have also understood where we are using deductive method. Now let's see what are the merits and demerits of both these methods. First, we will begin with merits of inductive method. It is a logical method and develops critical thinking. Why are we saying it as a logical method? Because with several observations and giving a critical thought towards it, we are coming to a conclusion that this is a formula that we will be able to arrive at based on our observations and thinking. So it is a logical method and develops critical thinking among the students. It encourages active participation of the learners in learning. So the child is actively engaged in the process by watching, by observing similar instances. It provides ample opportunities for participation, for exploration and observation. It sustains the students' interest as they need to proceed from known to unknown. It avoids a mechanical or rote learning. Here they are not learning anything by heart. They are learning through their observation. So it is avoiding the mechanical and rote learning process. It helps for the beginners as it provides a number of concrete examples. This is more helpful for children who are in the primary grades because they will be learning through observation. But the similar kind of things cannot be applied for higher classes because of the time frame and the previous knowledge that they already have about these aspects. Then it facilitates fixation and retention of mathematical concepts, rules and formula. These are all the merits that we can find in the inductive method. Now coming to the limitations of inductive method. It is slightly a laborious and lengthy method, may not be suitable in all contexts. So it is not possible to apply this method everywhere. Now the same thing if it is applied for gifted children or above average children, they feel it is little boring. And whereas children who are still at the beginning phase of learning, they find it interesting. So this method, in order to do, it takes a lot of time and effort. It is a laborious method and it takes a lot of time. It's a lengthy process. It is time consuming and the progress is very slow. It is not suitable for higher classes since higher order mathematical principles cannot be generalized through observations. It is not absolutely conclusive as it may leave some doubts in the minds of the learners regarding the validity of generalization that is arrived through the observation of few particular instances. Only in few cases, by taking few sample, we cannot come to conclusions when it comes to higher level of teaching mathematics. So this may not be suitable always. It is not suitable for gifted learners as unnecessary details and too many examples make teaching monotonous and uninteresting. Now let's move on to the deductive method, merits of deductive method. Because from the formula we are only substituting values and we are able to solve the problem. It helps in enhancing the speed, skill and efficiency in solving the problems. It helps in fixation of formula and rules as it provides adequate opportunities for practice and revision. Because the formula is already derived from several observations, it helps them to fix this formula and rules in their minds, and it also provides an opportunity for practice so that they don't forget this formula, and also helps in their revision. It can also be used when the learners feel difficulty in the derivation of the formula, which is more than their mental capability. When it is difficult for them to come out with formulas, this is a more simpler way because they are only using the formula and substituting the values over there. It can be best applied during practice and revision stage. I hope this is all clear, and then we'll see the limitations of deductive method. It discourages the discovery attitude of learners because the child is only simply using the formula. There is no observation, there is nothing beyond that formula apart from what is being given in the problem. So it does not help them to find out or discover something new. Learners may become passive. They are not actively engaged in this process. It is not suitable for development of thinking, reasoning and discovery. It taxes the learner's mind as it puts more importance on memory because they have to by heart the formula, and this is a kind of a rote learning. It is something which is very taxable for the mind. There is no scope of creative thinking. It emphasizes on memory at the cost of intelligence, and hence it is psychologically an unsound method. Now, we have seen the limitations of deductive method. We have also seen the merits and demerits of both the methods. Let's conclude taking into consideration both the methods. Now, we know that inductive and deductive methods are contrary to each other. If we have a view on the entire discussion of the scope, process, merits and demerits of these two methods, it can easily be seen that inductive method is the forerunner and the predecessor of the deductive method. The deductive method is more fruitful as a follow-up if it is preceded with a good understanding through inductive method. The deductive method is more fruitful as a follow-up if it is preceded with a good understanding through inductive method. Actually, the teaching of mathematics comprises two clear-cut parts: establishment of formula or rule, and second is application of that rule to solve the problems. Actually teaching of mathematics comprises of two clear-cut parts. The first one is establishment of formula or rule, and the second one is application of that rule to solve the problems. The former part is the work of induction and the later is the work of the deduction. Thus, mathematics in the making is inductive, and it's finished, and if it is finished from deduction. In other words, mathematics is understood inductively and applied deductively. Let's wrap up this session. What we have learned inductive approach. We have seen the different steps in inductive approach or inductive method. We have also seen what is deductive method, the steps involved in deductive method. We have seen some illustrations of both inductive and deductive method. We have seen the merits and limitations of inductive method. Also, the merits and delimitations of deductive method. We have concluded with the difference between inductive and deductive methods. I hope this is all clear to you. Thank you.